I discovered my mom sabotaged my wedding to get me to marry her friend's son. When I showed up at her birthday, she never saw my revenge coming. I thought it was just cold feet when everything started going wrong before my wedding. Vendors canceling, venue confusion, my dress going missing. But then I discovered the truth. My own mother had sabotaged the entire thing. Why? Because she wanted me to marry her best friend's son instead. I was heartbroken, but I stayed quiet. And when I showed up at her birthday party weeks later, she never saw my revenge coming. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now, let's start the video. 3 weeks before my wedding, things started going wrong and fast. At first, it seemed like bad luck. My florist canceled out of nowhere, citing a scheduling conflict, even though we'd booked her 8 months ago. Then the caterer claimed we hadn't confirmed the final guest count, despite the email receipts I had showing otherwise. The icing on the nightmare cake, my dress, the one I'd picked out with my best friend and already had tailored, vanished from the bridal boutique. They said someone picked it up early, but no one could explain who. At this point, I was unraveling, crying in the car between vendor calls, stress-eating like a contestant on a cooking show, and wondering if the universe was trying to tell me something. But through it all, my mom kept saying, maybe it's a sign. Maybe you're not supposed to marry Jason. Every time something went wrong, she didn't try to comfort me. She looked relieved. And at first, I brushed it off. My mom's always been a little overbearing. She's the kind of woman who thinks her opinion is a divine prophecy. And if you don't follow it, well, obviously you'll regret it. But still, she's my mom. I thought maybe she just didn't love my fiancé, Jason. Maybe she was worried. Maybe she was being protective. But then I overheard something that shattered any hope I had that this was just a case of bad luck and motherly concern. She was on the phone in the living room, and I wasn't trying to eavesdrop until I heard his name. Of course it's working. Jason's out of the picture. The vendors are pulling out, just like we planned. I've been dropping Noah's name more too. She's vulnerable. Timing is everything. Noah, her best friend's son. The guy she'd been trying to push on me for years. The guy I had zero interest in. My blood went cold. I stepped back quietly, heart pounding, realizing that my mom hadn't just disapproved of my relationship. She had destroyed it. And the worst part? She thought I had no idea. But what she didn't know was that I wasn't about to let her win. And when her birthday rolled around 2 weeks later, I had a plan of my own. After I overheard that phone call, I locked myself in my room and cried harder than I had in years. Not just because my wedding was falling apart, but because my own mother had been the one swinging the wrecking ball. She didn't just sabotage a dress or a dinner menu. She sabotaged me, my happiness, my future. And all for what? So I'd marry some bland golden boy she could brag about at brunch? I couldn't sleep that night, but by morning, I wasn't crying anymore. I was planning. Mom's birthday was coming up, a big deal for her. She was throwing one of her signature over-the-top garden parties, matching tablecloths and tea sets, a catered lunch, the works. It was going to be full of family, friends, and, of course, Noah and his mother. You could practically smell the manipulation coming. So I decided that party would be the perfect stage for my revenge. I didn't want to scream. I didn't want drama. I wanted precision. I wanted her to feel embarrassed, exposed, and completely blindsided, just like she'd made me feel when she quietly unraveled everything I'd built. So I started gathering receipts. I called the florist, the caterer, the venue, even the boutique. Turns out they hadn't canceled because of accidents or miscommunications. Someone had called each of them pretending to be me, or more specifically, someone with my tone, my attitude, and an eerily familiar voice. And they all confirmed what I already suspected. The phone number that had made the calls? My mom's. I took screenshots, call logs, email headers. I even recorded a conversation with one vendor who said, "Honestly, I thought it was weird. You sounded different, like you were trying to force a cancellation." By the end of that week, I had a folder full of proof, concrete evidence that she'd sabotaged my wedding on purpose. And then I created something beautiful, a short video montage, screenshots, audio, vendor statements, edited together into a neat 3-minute clip. Not dramatic, just factual, clean, cold. And on the day of her birthday party, I made sure that video would be played at just the right moment, right after the toast. The day of the party, everything was perfect, at least on the surface. My mom floated around the garden in a blush pink dress, sipping champagne and soaking up compliments like a queen at her coronation. The guest list was full of her friends, co-workers, distant cousins who only showed up for cake, and of course, Noah and his mom hovering near her like vultures in pearls. She greeted me with a tight hug and a fake smile. "I'm so glad you made it, sweetheart. You look better." Better? Right. Because in her head, I was still grieving the wedding she torched, but I smiled back. "Thanks, Mom. You too. This party is really something." "Oh, it's nothing," she said, brushing her hair back like she hadn't been planning it for 6 months. "Just a little celebration with people who care about me." I almost laughed. "People who care, huh?" A few minutes later, she clinked her glass and tapped a spoon to signal for quiet. "I just wanted to say how grateful I am for all of you," she said, beaming. "This past year has been full of challenges and changes, but what got me through it was knowing I'm surrounded by love." Polite applause. "And now," she continued, "my daughter put together something for me. A little birthday tribute. Isn't she the sweetest?" She motioned toward the screen at the end of the garden where she'd set up a projector for a planned slideshow. Photos of her childhood, her wedding, all her greatest hits. But I had swapped the USB. What played instead? The truth. The video started with a smiling title card, a special birthday message from the daughter who knew everything. Then came the screenshots, the vendor emails, the call logs with her phone number, audio of the boutique owner saying, "She said she was you, but the voice was definitely older." And then, the final scene, a recording of me saying calmly, "Happy birthday, Mom. I hope this year you finally learn what love really means." The silence that followed was delicious. People were frozen. A few jaws literally dropped. Noah looked like he wanted to crawl under a rose bush. His mother grabbed her purse like she was about to flee the country. And my mom? She stood there, completely still. Face drained of color, hands trembling just slightly, champagne glass clutched like a lifeline. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Because she finally realized the party she'd thrown to celebrate her control had become the stage for her downfall. For a moment after the video ended, it felt like the whole party forgot how to breathe. No one clapped, no one moved. It was just stillness, sharp, uncomfortable, heavy. Then the whispers started. Was that real? Did she really sabotage the wedding? I knew something was weird. My mom didn't speak. She didn't yell. She didn't deny it. She just stood there frozen, blinking like someone who'd just woken up mid-nightmare and realized it wasn't a dream. Noah's mom gave her a quick, pitying pat on the arm and mumbled something about needing to check on the car. Translation, "I'm out before the shame sticks to me." Noah followed behind her, not even sparing a glance my way. I stood off to the side, watching it all with the calmest smile I've ever worn. My aunt, the one who'd always suspected my mom was a control freak in designer heels, walked over to me and whispered, "You didn't just serve tea, you served the whole damn buffet." A few guests tried to act like they needed to leave early, but let's be honest, they were just escaping the awkward tension cloud hovering over my mom's shattered reputation. And my mom? Once the crowd had thinned and only a few stunned relatives remained, she finally turned to me. Her voice was shaky. "How could you do this to me?" I tilted my head. "You mean, tell the truth?" "I was trying to protect you," she snapped, the denial finally bubbling to the surface. "Jason wasn't right for you. He's not your future. Noah is stable, respectable. He would have given you a good life." I took a deep breath and stepped closer. "You don't get to decide who loves me, or who I love. What you did wasn't protection, it was sabotage. You didn't want what was best for me. You wanted what made you look good." She flinched, but didn't deny it. And then I said the one thing I knew would cut the deepest. "You've spent your whole life trying to control the narrative, but now, everyone saw the real story, and you can't rewrite it." I turned and walked out of her party without another word. And let me tell you, leaving that mess behind, with my head high and my dignity intact, it felt better than any wedding ever could. After the party disaster, my mom went full PR mode, like a politician caught in a scandal. First came the texts. "Can we please talk privately? You humiliated me. Was that your goal? You've ruined my reputation." I didn't respond. I let her stew. Then came the group messages to family. "There's been a misunderstanding. My daughter's going through a tough time emotionally. I was only trying to help her avoid a painful mistake." She even called my grandma and tried to spin it into, "I was worried about her mental health. Jason wasn't treating her right." Luckily, my grandma is no fool. She told me she'd rather have no husband than a husband handpicked by someone who lies, Grandma said bluntly when she called me after the party. I told your mother she needs to sit with what she did, not spin it. I wanted to hug her through the phone, but the best part? Social media. My mom had always curated her Facebook like a magazine cover, filter-perfect photos, inspirational quotes, and vague humble brags. But now, her usual likes and comments, gone. Instead, there were awkward gaps, unanswered posts, a few passive-aggressive quotes like, "Sometimes the ones we love the most hurt us the worst. Family will betray you faster than strangers ever will." Classic boomer subtweet energy. Meanwhile, my inbox was filling up with messages from people I didn't even know that well. Old neighbors, extended cousins, even friends of friends who'd been at the party. I've never seen anything like that. You were so calm. Your mom's been controlling since forever. Glad someone finally said it. Iconic. Absolutely iconic. It wasn't about fame or attention. I didn't want this to become my identity. But there was something healing about seeing people get it, about realizing I wasn't crazy or dramatic or too sensitive. I was right. And while my mom was scrambling to repair her image, I was doing something else entirely, repairing my life. Starting with the person who never stopped believing in me, even after everything my mom put us through. Jason. Jason and I hadn't spoken since the day we called off the wedding. It wasn't dramatic. No screaming or accusations, just hurt, confusion, silence. He'd been as blindsided as I was by the chaos, vendors canceling, the venue disappearing, my dress vanishing, and I couldn't blame him for wondering if maybe we were cursed, or worse, that I had cold feet and was quietly sabotaging it myself. But after everything came out at my mom's party, I knew I owed him more than silence. So I reached out. I sent a simple message. "Know a lot happened. I'd like to talk if you're open to it." He replied within minutes. "Absolutely. I've been waiting for you." We met at the same coffee shop where we'd had our first date. Something about the full circle of it made the moment feel less terrifying. When he walked in, my heart did that stupid flutter it always did with him. And when he sat across from me, he didn't look angry, just tired, like he'd been carrying confusion for too long. "I'm sorry," I said before he could speak, "for not seeing it sooner, for letting her get in between us." He shook his head. "You don't owe me an apology. Your mom played us both. I didn't know how to process it." We sat there for hours, talking through everything. From the missing dress to the vendor lies, to the moment he started questioning what was real. He told me the morning we canceled, he felt like he was losing someone he hadn't even gotten the chance to fully love yet. That wrecked me. And when I told him about the video and what I'd overheard, and how I'd planned the whole thing, not for revenge, but to reclaim something, he just smiled. "That's the woman I was going to marry," he said. That night, we didn't talk about getting back together. No rushing, no forced happy endings. Just two people, sitting in truth for the first time in a long time. But I left with something I hadn't had in weeks, hope, and a promise from him. Whatever happens next, it'll be our decision, no one else's. After that night with Jason, something shifted in me. Not because we kissed and made up, because we didn't. Not yet. But because, for the first time since my mom lit a match and torched my wedding plans, I felt like I had both feet back on the ground. No more second-guessing, no more guilt for setting boundaries, just clarity. And from that clarity came momentum. I threw myself into work, picked up a weekend hobby class just for me, pottery, which I suck at, but weirdly love. And finally cleaned out the closet that still had my wedding favors stacked in a sad little pile. But I didn't throw them away. Instead, I packed them in a labeled box. When I'm ready. Jason and I kept seeing each other, slowly. No pressure, no timelines, just honest conversations, walks that lasted way too long, and takeout nights where we laughed again without feeling like we were stepping on broken glass. And as for my mom, we didn't talk. Not after the party, not after the texts. Nothing. Until one day, she showed up at my door. No makeup, no theatrics. Just her, holding a manila envelope and wearing a look I'd never seen on her face before. Shame. "I know you probably don't want to see me," she said, "but I came to give you something." Inside the envelope, every contract and receipt she'd forged, canceled, or tampered with. Signed vendor emails, a printed apology note to Jason, and a handwritten letter to me. I didn't open it, not right away. I didn't need to. Because for once, she wasn't here to explain. She was here to admit. She left without asking for forgiveness, which, weirdly, made it feel more real. And I realized I didn't need revenge anymore, because the damage she tried to cause didn't define me. How I rose from it did. Weeks passed, the chaos faded into something like quiet. Not silence, just peace. I eventually opened the letter my mom left. It was messy, tear-stained, full of half-excuses and scattered apologies. But one line stuck out. I wanted you to have the life I never did, and I didn't trust you to choose it. That was the most honest thing she's ever written. I didn't respond. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Forgiveness is a journey, not an obligation. And right now, I was choosing me. Jason and I, we're not rushing to put the wedding back on. We're dating again, like it's brand new. Because in a way it is. No deadlines, no guest lists, no white dresses hanging in back rooms. Just two people, rebuilding trust one real conversation at a time. Sometimes we laugh about the disaster my mom created. Other times, we get quiet. But what matters now is we're the ones writing the story, not her, not anyone else. And as for my mom's birthday party, it became a legend. People still talk about it. The garden party meltdown, the sabotage slideshow, the day the truth wore heels and smiled. I didn't set out to humiliate her. I set out to reclaim my power, and in doing so, I gained something she could never control: my voice. So here's the thing. If someone in your life is trying to twist your path to match their version of what happiness should look like, you have every right to stand tall, draw a line, and say, not anymore. Because love isn't about control, it's about choice. And I finally made mine. This wasn't just a story about a wedding, or a toxic mom, or even a ruined celebration. It was about control, about the people who think they know what's best for you, and how far they'll go when they think you're making the wrong choice. But here's the truth. The wrong choice isn't marrying the wrong person. The wrong choice is letting someone else write your future while you sit quietly in the background. I didn't fight back with yelling or bitterness. I fought back with truth, with receipts, with boundaries. And the moment I reclaimed the story, my story, was the moment I stopped being a pawn in someone else's game. If you've ever had someone try to manipulate your life, force your hand, or guilt you into a future you didn't choose, this is your sign to take it back. Set the boundary. Have the hard conversation. Walk away if you have to. You're not selfish for protecting your peace. You're wise. Have you ever had to stand up to someone who tried to control your life? Or say no to family expectations that didn't serve you? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear how you found your voice. And if this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it. Your support helps us bring more real, powerful stories into the light. Because sometimes the quietest revenge is just living on your terms. Thanks for watching, and remember, revenge is temporary, but reclaiming your life, that's forever.